So what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Morning Ackerman channel, and today we're going to take a look at the Unihertz Titan 2. This phone is a rugged QWERTY beast. Now this was sent out by Unihertz, and this is their new Kickstarter project phone that should be launching later this year. So I'll leave a link to the article about this Kickstarter project. It actually closes very soon here, so you want to go check it out, maybe back the project if you like. But you can see right here, a QWERTY keyboard phone. What does that remind you of? I think you know the brand no longer exists that reminds you of, but it's really cool to see this come back. And they have already exceeded the goal funding for this phone, so it is definitely going to come to market. So definitely really nice. You can see right there, there's a screen on the back, and there is the keyboard right there. I'm going to go ahead and cover the specs in a minute, but it definitely reminded me a lot of a BlackBerry Passport style of phone. But when we look inside of the box, you're going to find yourself some warranty guides and booklets and things of that sort. You're also going to find yourself a charging brick right there, USB-C, and this is just a prototype, but you are going to get a TPU case in your box. And you'll see right here, we do have ourselves a SIM card tool in there because this does support SIM card. So other than that, pretty nice, very simple casing, but let's go ahead and talk more about the phone now. So to get started, if you don't know who Unihertz is, they're a team based out of China that makes a lot of rugged smartphones, and they've actually made a Titan before, QWERTY style smartphones. They make different types of phones out there. Let's go ahead and boot this thing up. But they've had several successful Kickstarter projects, so this is not their first rodeo for sure. They've had some successful ones before. But to just go over some key specifications, we do have a QWERTY keyboard here. This is a 5G phone, Android 15 out of the box. It will support all the way up to Android 17. And they did say that they're not going to provide constant updates, but they will provide important security updates all the way up until the Android 17 upgrade. So you got about 2 or 3 years or so of usage on this phone. We do have ourselves programmable keys here. They're red on the left right there. It is housed in like this really premium aluminum shell right here. In addition to that, there is an IR blaster on this phone, and there's also going to be a embedded fingerprint sensor with a volume rocker there. Of course, it is a QWERTY phone, so you are going to have a 4.5-inch square display right there. So it's definitely a different type of aspect ratio. And they do have the Unihertz branding on there, but you don't really see it that much if you're on a different angle. And you can see here at the bottom, we are USB-C, and we do have ourselves a SIM card tray with a speaker over there. On the back, it has like this faux leather type material, and we have 2 cameras right here on the rear there, a flash, and it does have a screen on the back. I'm not sure it'll get triggered right there because I haven't unlocked the phone, but okay guys, so there's that screen. And yes, you can change these clocks. You can actually add applications to this back screen, although it's going to be a little bit small for certain applications. Things like the clock work there just fine if you need a quick stopwatch, quick calculation on the back. It's about the size of a smartwatch screen, like a couple smartwatches have screens like that size, so that's about what you get on the back right there. But now that we're in here, you can see that we go to settings here. If we go down here to about phone, you'll see Titan 2. Let's go to system updates. They're going to check for updates here, and we are currently up to date. So we are on the latest version of this phone, although it is a prototype. But if we go over here to system, you're going to find that it's basically a stock version of Android with a few intelligent enhancements. So if we go to Intelligent Assistant, you'll see we do have the ability to have a memory extension. We have rotation controls here. Let's go up here to shortcut settings. You can use these keys as a function keys. They also do allow you to swipe on the keyboard through different menus. So you can use this as a scroll right here on the keyboard. That's pretty neat. And also these keys are programmable to open certain things. You can also use the keyboard to swipe across the screen as well. So that is programmable. Also, if I hold down the K button here, that's going to take me over to Google Keep, which I have set up right there. If we scroll back and we go over here to subscreen settings, you'll see that we have different clocks we can set for the back. of this device, and you can also customize your own with your own markers and your own hands, so you can make your own custom clocks and save those. So that's pretty cool. Just a little bit of a neat difference. You don't see that a lot on a lot of phones or rear display as well. So that's pretty fun. Let's go back here in the settings. So let's go over here and go to my device, and you're going to see that this phone has a 1440 by 1440 pixel display. That's 4.51 inches. Now the thing I noticed about this panel is that it's a pretty sharp panel. Also a pretty large battery in here, 50 milliamps. So this phone actually gets really solid battery life, and 12 gigs of RAM is going to be plenty enough. It does have the Dimensity 7300 8-core CPU, and this is 256 gigabytes of RAM. Two things I noticed is this phone has a really long battery life because of the size of the battery on this smaller screen and a pretty sharp display. And another thing I noticed is it has pretty good day-to-day performance. So if I scroll through, there's going to be no major issues with these applications. Some applications actually don't fit the screen size always, but it's not very common. Majority of them do seem to work just fine. So if I go over here and I scroll over here to do trending, one of the areas of this phone though that isn't going to be the most fantastic is going to be the area of gaming. So if you do want to go ahead and game, this is probably not going to be the funnest one to do it on. Or watch media content. You can still watch content very easily, and it's not that hard to go ahead and do that. It's just going to be a little bit smaller, but there's trade-offs because you get that QWERTY keyboard, and to me that might be worth it for you. Let me know your thoughts about that down below. So let's go ahead and try out this keyboard. Hey, this is a test of the keyboard, and when I first tried this again, I was like taken back to like when we used to use QWERTY keyboards, and it took me a little bit of time, but once I got the hang of it, it definitely feels, yeah, I'm definitely not the fastest right now. Feels refreshing. Although the accuracy, once you get used to this keyboard, is actually better than, touchscreen keyboards. You can also use your own like third-party keyboards on the touchscreen if you like, but that kind of defeats the purpose of this phone. I just wanted to showcase that you can do that. But the keys, this is a satisfying experience. That is definitely a satisfying experience using this keyboard. And you can see they're a little bit raised, so they definitely do have a very tactile feel to them. And they're very clicky and they feel sturdy. Nothing about them feels cheap. So I definitely think you'll enjoy this keyboard. You can also go ahead and hit this to go back. You can hit the FN button to go home. And if you're in here, you can hit that to go back. So pretty cool stuff right here overall. Definitely a very different experience from most of the phones out there. And when looking at the display, now using this display in terms of ergonomics is it's pretty wide because this phone is a QWERTY keyboard, so expect some more width. You might have to hold this with two hands quite a bit, but you can still manage. The back material choice was actually smart because it allows it to not feel too slippery in the hand, and it's also a thick boy, so it doesn't feel like a super thin, slippery phone whatsoever. So you can definitely still get by one-handing it, but this phone definitely has a pretty solid display. It looks sharp. It's LCD, definitely not OLED, but it tends to perform well. It feels sharp, compact, but also bright. So it's not a cheapy display. It's just not the highest end display out there, but it definitely will not disappoint. So I definitely like this about the Titan 2. I'm definitely not disappointed with this. It feels like a modern Android panel, just not OLED. That's the only thing about this. So when it comes to performance, you can play games, but if you start playing some heavier games, this likely will start to give you a little bit of issues under heavier gaming load. This is more of a productivity phone, a daily phone to communicate, get business done on, things of that sort. But if you need to play the casual game here and there, you shouldn't have a substantial issue. It should be able to do that just fine. When you start going in the landscape though, this is not going to look great. It really isn't. Now when you start playing any type of games that are in landscape, they might not be optimized properly there. But there is a mini mode on this phone that allows them to at least fit in the screen space. But again, this is a really old game, but you can still play a lot of things. Another thing that is to note about this is emulators will look really good on this panel. So if you want to play like emulation games, this panel is going to be great to go ahead and emulate like a Game Boy from the past, just because they were kind of like square screens to begin with. So those will look fantastic on here. They really will. But generally, day to day with the 12 gigs of RAM, the 8-core CPU, this thing flies along just fine. It actually, and with this very vanilla stock feel, it just doesn't feel slow at all. It does have a couple hiccups. This is an engineering prototype, so it might change as time goes on, get some more software updates. But it tends to perform pretty well. I'm pretty impressed with it. If we go over here to settings, but it's not 120 Hertz, so don't expect that super buttery smooth display. But honestly, you don't really need it on a phone like this. Let's take a look at some of the wallpapers. They did include quite a few on-device wallpapers that you can choose from, which are quite nice. Although this is not heavy on the AI stuff, you do have the ability to hold down the power key to get to Gemini, which you can use with basically any Android phone. And then of course, these buttons are programmable, the red buttons on the left. So if you want to put a key program on there, you'll be able to do that. Double click will open the camera, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But generally, it kind of houses most of the features that you'll find in most phones these days. Just does it a little bit more basic because software is just pretty basic. But you don't really need more than that when you want something simple and productive. And another great usage of this smartphone's display, this is Google Docs. A Google Doc. Yeah, I'm not that fast right now on the Titan 2 because there's just so much space for things to spread out. Smartphone. So the ability to have like text be read all the way across is nice. In addition, if you use something like Google Sheets, let's see your spreadsheet a little bit more. Now, it's a little bit hard to see here just because, I'm recording on camera, but you'll be able to see a lot of your spreadsheet just because of the width of this panel on there. Not only that, if you do go to the internet and you go read some articles, for example, like let's go to The Verge, for example, just a tech website, you're likely going to see more of the title of things being spread across. So if I click an article and I want to read something tech related, you don't have to do as much scrolling because the text spreads across the display. This will also be really good with things like Kindle books. So I think that's another great use of this phone. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the camera on the back. This is a 50 megapixel and it's plenty sharp. It really is. For what this phone is, you would expect to have a horrible camera on here, and it's definitely not competing with none of the top tier phones. Hold on, that was out of focus. It's definitely not competing with none of those phones, but it's not trying to. It's just trying to give you a solid option for the price that you're going to pay. And then if we go over here to Pro, you have Pro modes if you want to tweak that. You have more in video. It's a very bare bones camera though. Do not expect some super high-end camera phone. That's just not what this phone is designed to do. But I don't think it's giving you horrible flip phone quality either, or horrible tablet quality either. You're getting better than that. And the front-facing camera also is acceptable, but not going to be a social media superstar on this one. So just keep that in mind. You're buying this phone for the keyboard, for this style is just not meant for a ton of photography, but it does have the space and it does have a high enough quality camera that you're not going to be like super irritated with it. But if you're looking for high quality photos on your device, this wouldn't be the one, but it'll do okay. And the Titan 2 has this really just durable feel to it. It just feels like a tank, this thing over here. And that probably goes back to the roots of them making more durable phones. But nothing about this phone feels cheap. It just feels like a tank. And while it might not be everybody's cup of tea in the looks department, it definitely holds up in the sturdiness. This is a strong phone. They also include a screen protector pre-installed on the device itself, which is a good thing because you're probably going to have a hard time finding third-party accessories for this phone. So including that case and the screen protector is a good thing for this product. But it definitely feels pretty rugged. So what are the cons here? Well, basically the cons are you don't have app compatibility with everything. The software updates are not super long. Our Play Store is actually updating right now. You might have a few app crashes just because this phone is not developed for every single app in the screen size, so you might run into a couple of issues there. But most of the core Android stuff tends to work pretty fine. I keep hitting Play Store even though it's updating. Most of the core Android apps seem to work fine. And if you wanted something that just feels different, it feels like a little bit of old school with new school with the QWERTY keyboard, this phone is going to be an excellent device. So go ahead and check out the Kickstarter project link. I'll leave it down below. You can't get this just yet. This is a prototype we're looking at here. But if they already hit their goals, so you're going to be able to get this in a few months. So you might want to go check out the link if you're interested. But thank you, Unihertz, for sending this one out. I think we do have a winner on our hands. It might not be for everyone. It might be a niche segment. It might be a smaller segment of the market, but I do think there's a place in the market for phones like this because some people miss the days of QWERTY phones. I'm one of them. I think they're really fun to use. And the tactile feel is just something you cannot get with any touchscreen phone on the market today. So that's something to say about it. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more videos like this on the More Nick Ackerman channel where we cover phones like this, phones I don't typically cover on the main channel. And I will catch you on the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well and peace.